Hello, everybody. I am here today with a fellow Barnes. If you don't know my full name, you just listen to it in the intro. But if you don't know it, it's Janaea Barnes. I am here today with Arthur Barnes. We are going to talk about something that bridge that gets you to the next level. So if you are out there and you are feeling stuck, you're not getting where you want to go, it feels like nothing is moving, this is going to be the podcast for you because we're going to talk about that thing that actually helps you get to the next level. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Arthur. He's a mindset coach, a neuroscience practitioner, a high flow performance strategist, and he's got over 32 years in ministry and pastoral leadership. He's built 7-figure business, and he helps faith-driven entrepreneurs, real estate professionals, and executive leaders align their mindset, their mission, their momentum, without all that crappy stuff that we don't want, like the burnout and all of that. So, one of the things before we really dive in, I want to talk a little bit about what you do, Arthur. But one of the things that I see in your bio and knowing the things you do and knowing the feeling that you project, because I've been around you, I've been in rooms with you, is there's this sense of home. Like, I know you do real estate, so you're obviously helping people with the real home. You're in pastoral leadership, you're helping people with their spiritual home. And you're a mindset coach, so you're helping people with that mental and emotional home. And I'm assuming in the pastoral leadership, you're also helping people with that relationship home and the relationship to self as well. So you're really covering this aspect and that feeling of home. And I know that your presence, your energy to me has this sense of safety, calmness, and a sense of home. So, on all of that note, if there's maybe something you want to lean into, why you do what you do, something to speak on the theory of home that I have.
Well, you know what's funny that you said that? It's two things that ring out. The first thing is you talked about like the calm peace and the calmness in the presence of home. Home is like they say home is where the heart is. And I often say the heart is where the home is. Um, and
Yeah.
I think that whenever that's one of the things, whenever I come into any space, I come with my heart. And as long as I come with my heart, I'm always going to be home, no matter where I am. And that's been like a mantra and a mindset for me. The other piece is one of the nicknames, growing up is they will always call me the quiet storm. So
Mhm.
you'll always have they will say, oh, you always when you come in, you feel you people can feel your peace and your presence, and so forth. So I think that you kind of like hit the nail on the head. It's like if we were playing darts, hit the bullseye with that. Hit the bullseye.
It's one of my things. It's one of my gifts. I see the things. I see the threads. So what got you into, you're doing your pastoral leadership, and what had you lean into mindset coaching? I'm curious about the why that you went that direction.
Okay, so for one, growing up, like I'm the oldest of my mom's, my mom and my dad's children together. I'm the oldest, and my mom has like bipolar and so forth, and so mindset has always been something that I've always studied from young, and I've always been fascinated with the mind, especially due to the fact that when my mom was young she had polio. They told her she'll never walk and so
Mm.
forth. She was like bedridden for a while. And she had several operations on her leg and so forth. And I remember tutors would come to the home to help her, with schoolwork and all that stuff like that. And they were like, well, Marion, there's no way that you'll be able to like cross the stage, and receive your diploma, but we'll give it to you. And I was like, you guys are sadly mistaken. I'm going to walk across that stage. And so just from seeing her growing up and watching her like run with me to school and so forth, if you saw her walk, apart from the limp, you would never know all these different things that this woman has gone through. And I know it was like mindset for her to shift the paradigm of what the doctors told her, what she looked like on paper and all that stuff like that. And so I tapped into that because I know the power of the mind. I know what it can do when others say no, you know what I mean? You can reset and say yes. And so that's really that birthplace of like really being brought up into that and knowing the window of that with her story.
And there's something beautiful about this combination of mindset and ministry. Because when I look at the two, when we have faith in that thing that's bigger than us, whatever your religious affiliation is out there, people, but when you have faith in that, that is such that you're supported and protected and lifted up by something bigger than you. That is such a big piece in creating the life that you want. But I think what happens, and I'm sure you've seen this in your ministry, is sometimes people just want God to do it for them. And so there's this piece where I'm just sort of this victim of whatever happens to me, when you actually want to create the life that, say, God has for you. You have to be the one to take action, and that requires your mindset to be aligned in being, in my opinion, a co-creator with the divine, or that thing which is bigger than us.
Most definitely. I think like what happens is a lot of people get caught up with this WDM thinking. I like to call it WDM thinking, which is Walt Disney mindset. They think that, a fairy godfather or a fairy godmother is going to just grant them, oh, I want to go to the ball. I want to meet the prince. Well, they're going to come and go blink and just everything is going to change. But no, we have to set an intention and say, okay, this is what we want to do. And this is what we need to move towards and move forward with. Like I have faith, if you believe in God or if you believe in the universe, I have faith that once I align my mind with what I want, then I need to take steps to make that happen, and that's the beauty of, creativity, right? No home, no car, no bike, no desk, no chair isn't built without a blueprint.
Yeah. So we as coaches, we have to be our best students. And we are not perfect, whatever that means, or we are perfect. It's just not that idea that everybody thinks it is. And so we have to move through our own stuff and our own challenges to get ourselves to the next level, to create that thing that we want. So let's talk first about your healing journey. And then we'll talk about some of the stuff that comes up in there that I think is a pattern for a lot of people. Tell us the story. You're driving along, or you were in the
So,
passenger seat, I think.
so,
Yeah.
so, so really what actually happened is I was out, me and my wife were out, and a scenario happened where in which when a person was trying to attack somebody else. And so myself, I see that, to see the danger of that happening. And so I go in between. My job is like to stop this thing from happening because I don't want the aggressor to attack the other party. The other party isn't thinking about fighting or anything like that. So, I make sure that it doesn't happen. What the aggressor wants to do to the other party doesn't happen. I don't feel anything really. Like I get in the car with my wife. We drive off. When we get to the mouth of the driveway, I tell her like, babe, my leg is killing me. And she's like, what do you mean? Because she never hears me if I'm in pain or whatever. She's not used to hearing me say that. So when I say that, she's like, you need to stop playing. And I'm like, no, my leg is killing me. You have no idea how it's killing me. So we park, she's driving. I get out of the car. As soon as my right foot really like really fully touches down on the ground, I went and yelled. And she's like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "My leg is killing me." So she's like, "Let's go to the hospital." I was like, "No, I have these pants on. I want to see what's going on with my leg. Let me just hop upstairs and see what's going on with the leg." And being trying to be macho, man, I get upstairs, take things off, look, and I'm like, man, it's kind of swollen. And she's like, I can't really see it. I was like, take a picture of it, you'll see. So she's like, you don't want to go? I was like, I'm just gonna relax and just keep it propped. So it was Friday. Saturday, my calf swelling like a balloon. But I'm still trying to be macho, man, like, I'm wincing. And because I'm close to the bathroom and so forth, I'm not worried about that piece. But Sunday morning, I'm like, well, you're going to the hospital, go to the hospital and find out what's going on.
And first, right there, I think a lot of people can relate. I know I will know when something's wrong with me. It's like, I have a fever of 104.5. I am fine.
Right.
And I did know that I was fine in that one circumstance, but I usually there's this play where it's like, I don't want to ask for help. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people can relate to here is, what does it mean about me if I have to ask for help? And especially when you stepped into a situation and your adrenaline is pumping, so you didn't feel the stress of whatever happened, which always happens. I used to jump over bars and break up bar fights when I was a bartender back in the day. So you don't feel what's going on in your body at the time. So you buckle, you finally cave. You're like, all right, throw the macho stuff out the window. We're going to the hospital. And what did you find out?
So when we get to the hospital and they check it, doctors looking at us like, wow. Like, I mean, because it's so swollen. He's like, well, you know what? We're gonna give you these crutches. You definitely can't be walking around like this. And so I set up an appointment with a specialist, right? So I leave with crutches. I'm hobbling on the crutches, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be on crutches. And so the next day when I see the specialist, they're like, okay, you're not using the crutches. I'm like, what are you talking about? I need the crutches. He's like, no, we're going to put you in a boot. So I had a boot from the bottom of my foot all the way up to my kneecap. And I was locked down in that until from September until like November, like a day after the election day. And then from there, I had to, do the process of physical therapy or so forth to get everything back to normal. Because I thought when I came out of the boot, I was going to be good. I'll be all right.
Well, and I remember you told me, and this is a thing for those of us that don't like to ask for help. You tried to do that thing that you normally do, which is just push through. Right. And especially when we talk about mindset, all the coaches that just suck it up, push through, get through. And sometimes that's not what needs to happen. And in fact, if that is your typical default of the way you deal with stress, probably you need to do the opposite. For the person who lies down is like, I can't do it, that's the person that needs to push and power through. It's like we've got to do the opposite thing of our pattern. But what did you learn about when you tried to push it?
What I learned is there's a process to this thing, and it's not certain things you don't just push through. Certain times you have to be like in the pause of the circumstance. I like to call it the pause of the circumstance, like really coming to grips and becoming aware. Okay, I'm injured. My muscle is torn, right? And so I have to readjust my mindset from thinking I'm just going to power through, push through, and realize this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And step by step, coming into the awareness of, I need help with this. Like, I can't do this by myself. Somebody else has to coach through the process of healing. And I believe, to me, awareness is the master key to unlock amazing opportunities and possibilities. Without that, oftentimes we get stuck in so many different things, stuck in doubt, stuck in analysis paralysis. And until that light bulb goes off, I'm like, blink, hey, guess what? Game plan that you got is not working. You got to toss that book aside. And now you have to, you have to play a different kind of game, a different kind of uh, comeback story, and a different kind of mindset in order to push through this, or you're going to prolong your healing.
Yeah. So what was that thing you said about the pause?
So I said the pause inside of the circumstance. Sometimes, like like in scripture, the Bible, there's a verse that says, "Be still and know that I'm God." You know what I mean? And sometimes what we think is a pit stop is actually a lift stop. It helps lift
Mhm.
awareness, right? It helps lift a new mindset. It helps lift a different type of possibility. Yeah, I'm used to pushing through certain things, but there's certain things I can't just use my brute strength to push through.
Yeah.
And so, tapping into that quiet place of peace and realizing this pause is the opportunity for me to throw out what's not working and embrace what's working.
Well, and one thing that's so beautiful about this, when we're in our habit, right? So for you and me, it's a push through. For somebody else, it's a sit down and I'm overwhelmed. I can't do anything. Um, but that pause, what happens in this pause is you have this point where you can come to a place of acceptance of where you are. And I think when we're sliding into the pattern, the habit, pushing through or whatever it is, we're trying so hard to run away from our circumstance that when you're running away from your circumstance, you can't do anything to change it. You're just going to end up looping in a circle and coming right back over and over again. So, any of you who are feeling stuck right now, and you've noticed that there have been some patterns in your life that you've repeated, and you're feeling at this place like, oh, here I am again, everything is crumbling, or whatever it might be. The key, as Arthur said, is in the pause. Because in that pause, if you can come to this place of acceptance of where you are right now and become okay with that, like, I'm okay that I can't, that I've got to walk around on this boot and it's going to taking way longer than I thought. And, this is just what it is. And not in that snotty way we say it is what it is, but really accepting at that, and then having awareness of the pattern. As you said, that opportunity is there to do it differently and potentially create a different result.
Yes, yes, that's extremely important. I'm an avid fan of like watching, different sports, but I'm a big boxing fan. And there's a quote that Mike Tyson always he says that everybody has a plan until they're punched in their mouth. And sometimes life, hits us like that, and we're flabbergasted. Like, what do I do now? Like, what do I do now? Also using the boxing metaphor, sometimes life knocks you down. You know what I mean? And it's generally with something that you don't see. It's something that doesn't see that actually floors you, right? But in the process of that, you gotta like look up and okay, this is my circle right now. Like I was standing up, but now I'm down. But now I have to get back up, and it's all in getting back up. I can't just lay here. I can't stay here, you know, because if I stay here, it's not going to be a good. It's not going to be a good thing, and it's going to leave me more in a worse circumstance than the start. And so, getting up is important, but also realizing that hey, guess what? Life happens. No matter who no matter who we think we are, nobody, nobody is immune to the challenges, the hits, and so forth that life throws at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you had to go to physical therapy. And this is, people think about a torn muscle. And remember when we were kids and we would pull a muscle in just like a week or two. And I'm guessing that's kind of what you thought it would be, the healing process.
Right. I mean, my thing is, I thought like, okay, my legs swelled up. Hey, I've seen my legs swollen up before. There's a time in my life that I had a huge gate went through my leg, like through,
Mm.
like literally, I still have the mark. So I was like, well, I mean, a gate went through my leg. Doctor told me, not to run on it and all that stuff. Like when it started healing up, I got out of the hospital. I was running on it and all that stuff. And so I'm thinking back my history playbook, looking in a Rolodex of my memories. I'm like, hold up, a gate went through my leg. This is nothing. You know what I mean? And I was able to power through that. This was like completely different. And then really seeing how my muscle, I still have like a scar from how this thing like tore the muscle. And when the doctors would look at it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of, wow, you know. But it showed me uh that every incident won't be the same. There's always going to be something different that you have to learn to push through, that you're going to have to learn to work through, that you're going to have to learn come into awareness and accept. Hey, you know what? I need a cadre of coaches to coach me through this, right? So in physical therapy, you learn to not only trust the exercises, but you also trust those who are giving you the exercise. You know what I mean? You trust those, you do those. There were times when they had me like on this balance beam thingy, and they telling me to just go up and down. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, up and down, I could do that. But when I get on there, I see myself shaking. I'm like, whoa, this is insane. Like, wow, my ankle is doing all of this shaking and twitching, and I'm saying to myself, wow. And it really taught me that no matter what the past is, sometimes the present, and learning the situation in the present, right?
Yeah.
And the power of the pause is accepting that this is a new day, a new time, and I have to take this new challenge. And it's going to look different every day. It's going to take some pushing, but all of those things lead us to progress. All of those.
Well, and you're not the same man you were when you had that other injury. And, I believe that we keep getting having things happen to us for our greater good, our spiritual life lessons, if you will, the things that are setting us up to maybe be able to handle something down the line, whatever it may be. So powering through was definitely not your lesson this time. That might have been your lesson last time. And you learned that lesson, and you it's how you moved. But moving into this next chapter of your life, as you're doing more mindset coaching and all of that, the lesson to be learned and how to move is different. So you had a similar kind of thing with, your decisions to lean into the mindset coaching as well, where it was this, like, from what you told me, it sounded like your heart wanted it and you knew you wanted it, but there was some resistance to actually stepping in.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about that journey and where we get to the pause and what happens. Tell me tell us all the things. I
So
don't want to be greedy. Share it with everybody.
so I have my mindset certification for a while. I had my high flow certification for a while. And I was like, I'm doing ministry, I'm being a realtor, I'm coaching people, but then I'm saying to myself, but hold up, you're not really like embodying everything, right? Okay, you fully pastor, you fully ministry, you fully realtor, fully real estate. But why aren't you fully mindset coach? Why aren't you doing that too? Why aren't you owning that? Why aren't you stepping into that? You know? Um, and I think too, with that tear, I think that tear was important for it to happen because I needed to pause to really reset me and say,
Mhm.
okay, when I step now, because this is a new scenario, I need to step forward and be all that I'm supposed to be, not just one and two, but operate in this trifold um, operation: mindset coach, pastor, and realtor. Be all three, but go all in on your coaching piece. You go all in on everything else. Go all in on that. And
What do you think what do you think was holding you back from going all in on the mindset coaching?
I think for me, sometimes I can get into thinking mode, and so the thinking in me sometimes I'm like, okay, it should look like this. I need to do this. I need to know this. I need. I So it's almost like you learn how to do something, but you're not doing it often. Like I remember the first, like growing up, my younger brother taught me how to swim. He taught me how to swim. I was living in Virginia for a little bit, and I came back. He was like, I know how to swim. I'm like, you know how to swim? He's like, you still don't know how to swim? I'm like, not. So he showed me how to swim, right? And even though I know how to swim, there's times when I'm like, I'm not going on your 10 foot. And but then I go in and I'm like, this is nothing. And years ago, I lived in Antigua and I swam in water, like huge body of water, and not a problem. So I noticed that there are times in our lives, sometimes there's certain things that we're like, oh, I want to do it, but put it on the back burner. So I think really like this tear made me to show up how I needed to show up. And the strengthening and so forth, the conditioning from physical therapy and all that stuff like that also helped recondition my mind,
Yeah.
recondition thought pattern along how this is supposed to look. Stop worrying about making low. I need to have 50 of these or whatever like that to make sure I can do this. No,
Right.
get into it, get involved, do what you got to do. Yeah.
That's the thing about the be the wolf thing. It's like leaning into what is true and right for you. And you said it earlier, talking about leading with your heart and not your head. And it sounds like your head was making the noise to hold you back. And also, the same head was making that noise like, oh, just power through, just power through. I love the way life works, especially when you can look back at the breadcrumbs and you can really start to see how everything leads you on the path toward where you're meant to be, who you truly are. It's just, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to tap into the heart and ignore the little fear mongers floating around in your head being like, but if
Mhm.
it's not perfect, it
Right.
won't work.
Work.
Whatever.
And it makes you think to everybody, every creator before they created something, how many times they failed. They weren't worried about the failure pieces or what didn't work. They kept at it. They stayed with it. We all did that too as children. Like when we were scooting around and we seeing adults walk around on on two legs and we doing the foursies and all this and holding on to stuff. And then our mind was like, nobody gave us a playbook for that. We looked, I was like, hold up, no, let me get a little confidence. Let me hold on to this table. I got a little confidence. I'm walking down the wall. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I got this thing down pat. And then we went from that to running,
Yeah.
to climbing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and it's the little noise where, oh, if we do that thing that we feel inspired to do when we're little, and someone's like, no, no, don't do that. And then we get scared to do it. And, oh, don't do it that way. And then we get scared. So it's these patterns that we developed, I think, in early childhood that we have these choice points where here is this stress that's coming at us. We're in our little blissful child world, like, woo, this is joy. I'm playing with a piece of toilet paper. It's so much fun. And then some adults like, no, no, don't put that down. And so there's this stress and there's this choice point that we have as children to, what do we do? Like, do we put down our joy, this little piece of toilet paper that we're having so much fun with? Or do we hold back and freeze or shut down? Or do we get cry? What do we do? And so if we look back at our patterns, we can often see that we're repeating the exact same pattern. If a parent's like, no, 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 I don't care if you can't do it, just power through. And so we learn to power through, or nobody can help us, or nobody shows up to help us. So we think we have to do it all ourselves. We're not, yeah, all the different things.
yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
So there came this place where you started to really lean into accepting, okay, we're doing it. The mindset coaching, we're folding it into this trifecta of the things that I am meant to do in this world. And once you made that decision, once you accepted that that is where you needed to go, what started to happen?
Wow. This is like so crazy. I was on a call with one of my coaches, and so we were talking, and he was just getting clarity, and he was like, "Look, this is what your plan. This is what your platform looks like. This is." So I'm like looking at him, I'm like, "Wow, this is serious. Like this, we were just having a conversation. He's like mapping it out. Like, look, see all this. I'm gonna put it on paper so you can see." And I'm like, "Wow, really?" So as while that was happening, I get a text from David Meltzer talking about an event that's happening in New York City. And so like my phone was going off crazy. I had clients and stuff. I'm like, sorry, coach. Let me silence this. I see, the text from David Meltzer. He said, "Will you be interested in being at the VIP dinner for Fanatics Fest, which is a big fest that happens, yearly with athletes?" So I was like, wow. So I just hit yes, continue my phone call with coach and so forth. And later on in the day, spoke to his office, and they, roll out. They told me about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I have to go. But at first, like saying, yeah, I'm gonna go. At first I was like, well, you know what? I can go as an attendee. And Marissa was like, do you want to come as a coach? You do this. And I was like, huh? And so the old me was like, huh? Like trying to back up, like, hold up, no, you're not ready for that. But then the new me was like, no, you know what? Send me the information. Send me the information. I'm gonna get back to you. I was like, it's I said it's 12:30. I'll get back to you by 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I'll let you know exactly what I'm doing, and we'll iron everything out. She's like, okay. So so really it all like hit me like, hold up, isn't it? Remember, this is how it's supposed to happen. You weren't expecting to tear your leg, you weren't expecting none of this stuff, and you want to step into things, and like as soon as you created clarity in your mind, the awareness happened and the clarity in your mind, all of a sudden the execution of the game plan is already in play, and then another opportunity came that you had no idea. Like, like I'm like David Meltzer, like, what? Are you crazy? Like, I'm definitely so that was just powerful. I'm like, wow.
Well, and it goes back to what you said, the power of the pause. And when you pause, it gives you that place to move from the contracting fear feelings
Mhm.
into place of acceptance, which feels neutral, which is the gateway to those expansive high frequency opportunities. I Most people are too young to get this, but it's like driving a stick shift. You can't go from a low gear to a high gear without going through neutral first.
Yes.
And I've got to think of a better metaphor that will work for Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah. Well, look, Gen Z is like, what? Oh, huh? Like, because so many things are automatic now. So, so
Right. So, yeah, there is this thing when you drive a car, when you're just driving along and all of a sudden it seems like your car like picks up speed. Well, it has to go through neutral before it can pick up speed. For the Gen Zs out there that don't understand the stick shift metaphor, but you made that decision. And once you made that decision, no longer from a place of fear, like, oh, it has to be perfect, if it has to look like this, like, oh, we're just doing it. So now you're in that higher speed. And then these opportunities start falling in your lap. So you got to speak at that event and be in front of, 80 people who are high frequency, looking to help each other, looking to expand and grow, which is a powerful thing.
yeah. And I wouldn't if I didn't step into that, I wouldn't have that chance to link and meet you and be here with you guys today. It's amazing. Like, to me, full circle, that's really been like the power of radical acceptance for me. Like, just around the whole piece, and I mean, just phenomenal.
And
And if
I think that's the key is whenever you're looking to shift to a higher gear is to come back to that power of the pause and accept where you are, because when you're fighting against where you are, you can never get to the higher gear. You're going to run in circles in the low gear. And so when you keep doing that, keep coming back to that, you keep opening the door to the higher gear over and over again. And it's a practice. It's not easy to quiet the mind, to shift the mindset, but the more you practice, the easier it gets.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
I have another question, maybe two, to ask you. But before we do that, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The best way is they can actually email me at arbarnesbiz@gmail.com. Or you can call me. I'm a realtor. We always answer the phone. They can call me at 347-978-3394. You can find me on different social media platforms. I'm on. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a burning question right now that you have for Arthur, open up your browser right now. AAR Barnes
Biz at
is
G.
at gmail.com and type that question in now before you forget. Because, sometimes we are like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then you forget. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh, and we don't want that. So now I'm curious, right? You had to learn to move through the power of the pause, going from pushing through at that place. What would have made it easier? What did you need to know to make it easier to sit in the pause and actually allow your body to heal and do what it needed to do instead of trying to power through? What did you need to know to make that easier?
So I think of like this particular mindset from being from control to clarity.
Mm.
I mean, I'm used to like like I said, I'm like the oldest of my mom and my dad's children. And so when my mom used to be sick, I would fill in and make sure I could help with the cooking, help do my sister hair, whatever, like I said, off to school and so forth like that. So shifting from mindset of shifting from control to clarity, right? And for
Mm.
me, getting clear wasn't just I have a challenge with this, this torn calf muscle. For me, getting clear was also how do I want to stand up in life? How do I want to show up in life? How do I want to impact, people's lives? Like, okay, I know I'm impacting people's lives on this level and that level, but is this the deepest level I can impact the lives of many?
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. And that's really powerful because as coaches, we have to model what we teach.
yes, yes,
And that place of stepping into presence rather than pushing through when you're talking about guiding people to that next level is a powerful thing. Thank you so much for sharing this
yes.
gateway to you stepping more fully into you, to you becoming more fully the wolf, or maybe it's the tiger for you.
Or whatever your spirit animal may be, you know.
Right. But just it's about being who you're called to be and letting go of this who you're supposed to be, power through, do it for everybody, do blah, 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 whatever your story is, your identity, your thing that kept you safe when you had those choice points. There's something bigger out there for you. And there are people like Arthur, myself, and so many others that are here to guide you and help you get there. So thank you for coming on and sharing you with us. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening, watching. Remember, when you unleash the power of you, humanity evolves, and we will see you next time on Be the Wolf. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.